we've been talking about natural selection and evolution, we need to figure out, well, all right, how is it that we know about evolution? How is it that we can actually come up with these theories and accept them? So first, let's talk about the fossil record. And the fossil record talks about how common fossils are found in strata or layers of the Earth. So if they existed at the same time, they're going to be found in the same layer. And we find this throughout, and we're going to find through time that, as you can see from this picture here, these represent fossils, and you have the same fossils along the same layer. So they existed during that time period. We can look at, the different types of fossils, and, we see, all these different organisms, and we can see preserved remnants of them in order to understand what the ancestors of different organisms look like. Um, and then we can look at something called the biochemistry of organisms. So fossil record would be one example, and then biochemistry would be another. And here we're talking about similar amino acids, and in particular cytochrome C. Now, if we look at all these different organisms, we can see how many amino acid differences there are from humans. Chimpanzee has no amino acid differences in cytochrome C from humans, which means we're very closely related. As the um, distance grows between organisms, with similarity, you can see that the increase in differences in the amino acid sequence also increases. So the more differences, the more apart they are. We can also look at homologous structures and analogous structures. A homologous structure is going to be a structure that has the same information or the same kind of bones. If we look here at the bat wing, a forelimb of a mouse, and a human arm, we can see similar bone structure. They don't have the same function where, bat wing is used to fly and a human arm is used to pick things up and move, and the other limbs are used for locomotion in a different sense than the bat. And a mouse forelimb, it walks on these bones. They are going to have the same bone structure, that's the homologous part, but they have different functions. And then we look at analogous structures. Analogous structures have the same function but different structures. So a bat wing, a butterfly wing, and a bird wing, they all help the animal fly. So they have something in common there, but they're structurally not the same. So if you look at the bone structure, they're not going to look the same like these three structures here. So that's homologous and analogous structures, another piece of evidence. Then we can look at comparative embryology. If you look at these organisms here, you see the fish, pig, chimp, and human. At the beginning stages of embryo development, it's very hard to tell the differences of these organisms. Not until the second row here can you see that this might turn into something like a fish. And still, you have very similar structures in these three organisms. And even into the last phase, they still have similar structures. At the embryology and say, wow, they are growing, at the cellular stage and into um, the fetal development, and they still look the same. So somewhere along the line, they must have been very, very closely related and maybe have come from the same ancestor. Um, looking at complexity of organisms, you can see similarity amongst the prokaryotes. Well, all right, then we go into the one-celled eukaryotes. But within the fungi, you'll see similarities within that family and all the way through. But you look at the DNA, and we talked about this at the beginning with the biochemistry, the amount of DNA that's similar, um, uh, not coding for proteins in humans is huge compared to the other organisms. So we have quite a bit, and we're very complex compared to these other organisms that are here. So looking at the evidence for evolution, you have analogous structures, homologous structures, comparative embryology, biochemistry, the genetics. You're looking at similarities in the amount of DNA that's actually there, as well as your proteins and your embryology. So keep all of those in mind, and that's how the theory of evolution is supported.